All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started.
Right.
Hello and welcome. My name is Marissa Hammond, and I'm the manager for the Office of Graduate Studies and Professional Accreditation. I'll be the host of this session, New Faculty Mentorship, a discussion on how to increase engagement and belonging. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the Show Captions button on the bottom of your Zoom window. Now, I'm pleased to introduce you to a couple people on our panel today. Dr. Ronald Beach is a full-time faculty with 13 years with UAGC. He earned his PhD in Organization and Management from Capella University. He is a Marine Cambodian veteran. Bear with me, sorry. Um, with over 25 years of corporate experience with 15 years of teaching online. We have David McCusick. JD is a full-time faculty member at UAGC. He served in the Marine Corps, earned a BBA in accounting at Clayton State University, and a Juris Doctorate of Emory University. We also have Dr. Naomi Quarles. She's a full-time faculty with UAGC and has a master's degree in management from Argosy University, a degree in executive leadership and organizational design from the University of Charleston. She brings over 20 years of experience as an educator, technologist, and professional. We have Dr. Samson Nagola, and is an associate faculty, holds a PhD in business administration, a proven leader in the corporate world for organizations, including Amazon, Tufts, Medicine, Google, and the African Union Commission. Dr. Geneva Reed is an associate faculty that has a DBA from Walden University. She has many years of corporate IT experience with companies such as IBM, Computer Sciences Corporation, Chicago Kent College of Law, also a veteran who has served 10 years in the Illinois Army National Guard. And last but not least, Dr. Stacy Gibson is an associate faculty that holds a BA in elementary education from Arizona State University, an MED in school counseling from Ottawa University, an MED in administrative leadership with an emphasis in principalship from Grand Canyon University, and an EDD in administrative leadership. And now, Dr. Beach, I will let you take it away.
All right. Thank you. All right. And hopefully right now you can see my screen. All right. Welcome to New Faculty Mentorship. It's a great discussion in which, you know, essentially it's the onboarding process that for associate faculty, it's the point where they can be a really good instructor or an outstanding instructor. And as we go through how it's, the secret sauce is kind of how to give support and guidance and help feel the social faculty feel that they're part of something much bigger, that they're part of an organization that really cares. We talk about the culture of care at the university. And that's not just for the students, that's for the faculty as well. And so the mentorship program is really designed on the first three courses after their new faculty experience. And this kind of gets you into uh, how you get connected with an experienced instructor. How do you work with understanding the roles and the different activities? And it's really designed specifically by different points. And this panel will just discuss the different hiring methodologies. The mentoring program for the first is a new program. We have 10 folks who went through the last year, and we'll talk about some of the challenges, successes, and maybe some different ideas. Again, we're very lucky to we have some great folks on the panel. It's whether you're talking about like David, who's our statistics expert, our mathematics go-to guy, and then you have Naomi, who has all the entry-level courses and written communications. But not only that, we have the opportunity to actually have some of these social faculty who went through the program, who understands some of the challenges and issues, and their input is going to be just fantastic to get it involved. Think about mentoring as being the helping hand between the new faculty experience and the IQR process, which is our quality review process, the first formal review process, which starts after you teach three courses. So this is kind of the helping hand of how to make that transition. I think of it as you go through the fire hose of information of going through a new faculty experience, and you get into the classroom, and it's all those virtual piranhas, all those issues that are cropping up on you as you're going through. So this is where we bring the expertise of so many to kind of help along the way and make you understand you're not out there by yourself. First thing I do is I actually send a welcome letter to new faculty right when they're coming out of the new faculty experience. The basic is to make them feel welcome, that we really do want them within the Bachelor of Administration program. Think about how many times you may have gone into a different university and you don't hear anything on the university until you're in trouble for something. We want you to understand we're here to support you, and we're here, to help you go all the way. Your success is success for the university. So I explained that I'll be working with them through the first 3 courses. I'll give them some best practices, little tips of things that I've learned over my years of teaching at the university. Some of the easy ways of making it go. And so as we want to really go that, let them know I'll be checking with them each week. I'm available by phone, which, by the way, is an easy way to I work with folks over the weekend, and it's really worked out well. But we're all here to respond quickly. The program itself is really designed in 3 phases, and I used each course was part of the phase. So the first course was the onboarding phase, where we talked about getting you used to the Canvas classroom, the on-board listening. Now, some instructors come in where they have experience teaching in a brick and mortar school, but the online is a new environment. And so we use the first course to kind of get you familiar with the different platforms, some of the course requirements that are different. What are some of the expectations as we're going through? Then the second course is in the developmental phase. There, I'll tell you a little more, but it kind of emphasizes more techniques of how to work with the students, working on how to make help the instructor feel that they're really part of a community, and not just a job at a university, but part of a really community of people that care, people who are like yourselves, academics, and how to work with some of the different content interacting with the students. Then the third phase, the third course, is more of a reflection, how to tie everything together, how to kind of tie those experiences as you're going through your next sessions, and how to pinpoint areas where maybe they can continue and improve. So on the onboarding stage, now remember, getting the instructors familiar with the course requirements going through. Now, they may have different experiences from different universities where they teach. And so we have to help them along the way of showing that, what our requirements for our associate faculty. For example, we require 6 postings per discussion thread. Well, different schools may say 25%. And that's what they've got in their mind. And so, if you have a class of, say, 12 students, then you're only going to post 3 times. So it's kind of helping do that transition and in the mindset of what are the expectations here at UAGC. We want to get you used to the platform, the Canvas, how to work the different fundamentals. And just, there's a lot of little tidbits and activities, but it's all a learning exercise. We strive very hard to keep your courses the same through your first 3 courses. And that sometimes it may work with scheduling, might cause a solution on that, but that makes it where it's always stressful to start out a new class. Well, it's stressful enough doing that, and then we're trying to learn how the new platform. And so we just want to take it a little bit at a time. We want you to make sure that you feel supported, and go through at your own pace, and we'll work with it. The weekly communications that they'll get from me is, the schedule for the week is a weekly reminder where I say they may have in mind of a different course expectations for a different university, is to remind them what are the requirements here. To post one announcement each week, to work on how to work with students for their introductions, how to post 6 responses each discussion thread. In the accounting group, finance groups, they have different platforms they use. And so it's, and also to remind them to check their email, their faculty email every day, because we use announcements to get through. Then at the very bottom, and I'll put the dates when these assignments are due, just as a way to remind them of the different scheduling. Then at the very bottom, kind of give them best practice. Like in this case, I was talking to them about how to respond to the introduction, give them some ideas of maybe when to respond to make it easier going through. So at the bottom of each week, I have a different best practice and try some little tidbits to make the job a little easier of going through. And if I get specific questions during the week, I'll add it on there so I can spread it throughout the overall group. And you'll get one of these each week for all 3 courses as you're going through. Now, the last stage, you have the development phase. The development phase is where you're putting the emphasis on different techniques of how to engage with the students. The different assessments that we use, building a welcome, that culture of care environment of how to work it. You start to kind of practice delivering content and how to interact with students. And remember, we're all here to help as you're going through the learning exercises, and you're going to have issues and questions of uncertainty, how to handle a certain item, and that's where the full-time faculty come into play. We've been there, and their whole purpose is to respond quickly, kind of help you go along. Then the last stage is what we call the reflection stage. That's where you really contemplate all your experiences for all 3 courses. What can we can do to improve maybe different instruction methods? What are areas where you want to continue to develop and to improve? And we have some really neat conversations. And my job is to help not just give feedback, but also help give you the resources for you to be successful. So, we kind of really is more than just a mentoring of the classroom. Now, this is where we actually want to talk about, you're part of a bigger unit. We have what we call, with our faculty, our program chair, she has office hours for anybody to come in and ask questions directly to her. And we want to make sure you understand we're here to support going through. We have a monthly spotlight. And this is where we kind of emphasize and give you information of a fellow faculty member, in a social faculty member in the VAVA program. So you really kind of get to know them a little more. What is it you're part of? How long have they been with the university? What's their favorite classes? And it really helps you make that connection that you're part of an organization, a team that's more than just teaching a class. Right? Now, I tell you right now, initially it was hard to get people to give me information to kind of put this out. But right now I've got so many right now. I've already kind of made up going into February of next year. It's just people want to feel that they're part of something bigger, right, that we're going through. Now, each week, beginning of the course, we want to reach out and we send out a notice kind of welcome you to your next class that you're teaching. We put links in there for you to make it easier for you to contact. The support toolkits, the faculty standards. Some of the requirements that we want to make sure, like our culture of care announcement. And so we send this out, but at the bottom, it has all the contact information, not just for myself, but David and Naomi and the program chair. And so we want you to understand that, there's items here available to you that is so, I can't really say, hey, it's just fantastic. we have more sources for you than you could probably just realize. Right? And so we want you to be there. We want to put that reminder out there. We want to make that connection. We even, Dr. Ashley DeLosa, is our program chair. She's even got her own podcast. Right. Now, this is called the Business Buzz, and she's with one of our other associate faculty, Dr. Joe Kappa. They have their own little podcast corner, right? And so think about it. It's not just of when you want to join the culture or when you want to join the team. There's a lot more involved in it. Now, there's a lot of different challenges in the mentoring process. It's individual startups may not be in sequence, and in others, you may have 10 people going through the program, instructors going through the mentoring program, but they may have lags of when they're doing their schedules. So it may get offset. There may be challenges to, say, modifications to the process or new items that we're incorporating into the university. It may cause a little bit of confusion, so we want to work you through it. Then, there's still some other areas that we need to kind of look at, say, how to help you along the way. How the incomplete process works, how maybe some tricks and trips and ideas on working with Turnitin scoring, how to work with gradebook management, how to work with student accommodations. And so while this is just a starting point, we really haven't gone to the step of everything going through. Okay. Let me hand you off to David.
Thank you, Dr. Beach. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our presentation on new faculty mentorship and a discussion on how to increase engagement and belonging. Dr. Beach just went over the process that he goes through for mentoring our new faculty. Dr. Beach mentors all of our new faculty. But later on in the faculty life cycle, as you're working along, I get to do some mentoring, and Naima Quarles, who may join us in a little bit, also gets to do some mentoring, but we do it in a little bit different context. So we do it in the context of faculty who have been working for a while, usually more than 6 months, because typically Dr. Beach takes care of faculty for the first at least 3 courses, and that usually covers 6, 7, 8 months. And then Dr. Quarles and I will mentor faculty after that. And Dr. Beach does some of the after stuff too as well. But I wanted to tell you what we do later on for folks. So, and just so you know a little bit about me and where I'm coming from, I've been with the university for, 14 years actually. And I have been an associate faculty member and I've been a full-time faculty member. In fact, Dr. Beach hired me back in 2012, back when I was an associate faculty. So I was full-time for 7 or 8 years, and then I stepped down for a little bit. I took a job opportunity here and worked as a DA for a while and then came back. So I'm back to full-time faculty. So I understand to some extent what it feels like to be an associate faculty. And our discussion here today is how to increase engagement and belonging. So I do understand what it's like to be an associate faculty out there and feel like you don't really belong to a community. And, I think from my point of view, it's particularly faculty who are performing well, okay? People are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing a great job in their classes. They typically don't hear from us as much as maybe some of the other folks do. So a lot of you may be in that position, right? You don't hear from us because generally when you hear from us, it's because there's a problem, right? And it's like, we're reaching out, hey, something's going wrong, and we're gonna help you fix that. So when we get to the end here, you'll all have a chance to chat with us, and we would love to hear what we can do better to increase engagement between us and associate faculty. And by us, I'm not talking, this isn't us and you, okay? We're all one happy family, but between full-time faculty and our associate faculty to what can we do better to help you feel better engaged and help you feel like a sense of belonging, right? Because it can get kind of lonely out there. I get it. So like I said, Dr. Beach, he does the first 3 courses. He just covered that whole process. The process after that normally starts when I get when I need to mentor somebody. It's, as I said, it's because they're not performing up to standards, okay? I don't mentor anybody who's doing great. We do something called, it's an IQ, we call it an IQR, but it's just an annual review. And every year, once a year, we'll go in and look at 2 of your courses. I try to get fairly recent courses, something within the last few months. And we'll take a look at them and just make sure you're meeting our faculty expectations. And we'll send you an evaluation, tell you what our results were. And all of you probably have seen these already. But anybody who gets one and that's maybe there's areas that you need some help with, that's one area where we start mentoring from. Okay, so if that happens, I'll send that faculty member an email and say, hey, look, here's your evaluation. You did great in a bunch of areas, but there's some areas you could improve in, right? And so in your next course, I'm going to help you out with that. And I try to get their buy-in a little bit. I try to get them to say, okay, great, we'll do that. Because I want them to feel like they're part of the process. There's another way sometimes we get, I'm asked to mentor faculty, and that's if we get some information from like students who are in their course and they say, hey, my faculty member, I'm getting graded, but there's no feedback on my papers, or they don't seem to be hearing the discussions or whatever. And those will be routed to us and we'll go look at those courses. And if there's a concern there, we'll reach out to those faculty as well. And also we get faculty through, we have faculty support people in a wholly another department. And they occasionally go in and they'll spot check courses. And to be totally honest, I don't know what compels them to do that and when they do that. But they have different programs they run when they're going and looking for that stuff. And a lot of times they'll bring that to our attention. They'll say, hey, here's a faculty member who's not meeting whatever the standard was we were checking for. And we'll reach out to that faculty member as well. And we'll do some mentoring with them. So when I get those folks, my process is this. I try to big picture, I try to do 2 things. First, I try to treat every one of my faculty members as a unique individual because they are unique individuals. And I want to appreciate who they are and where they came from and how they got here and how we got in this situation. The other thing I do is I treat everyone the same. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, David, how can you do both of those things, right? Well, let me explain. So I treat everyone as a unique individual like this. When I get a faculty member who needs some mentoring, I want to know something about them. I want to know how long they've been with the university. Are they brand new? Did they just get out of mentoring? Maybe they got out of their mentoring and they, started and maybe, they forgot a few things or something. Or have they been with us for years and years and maybe they just kind of over the years not stayed up to date with whatever it is they're supposed to be doing? Have they had an evaluation? So for example, I just mentioned that annual evaluation. Have they had one recently? And if they have, I'm going to go look at it and see, hey, was this a problem in that evaluation or is this something that came up since then? And if it was a problem, what were they told? Has someone else told them about this? How many times have they taught this course, for example? You're all probably aware that the first time you teach a course is a little bit harder, right? Because you don't know where the little booby traps lie in there. You don't know where students are going to need help in a certain thing. And you're not familiar with the material as much. So the first time through, maybe you don't have quite as much time to engage with the students as you do later on when you've been through the course a few times. You've got some discussion ideas already ready to go. And you can do more with it second, third, and 10th time through, however time you've been in there. I'll look and see have they ever been coached. So we do keep track of previous coaching. So if someone has been coached, I can go and look and see what they were coached on. and see, is it the same issue, a different issue, maybe it was something else. I'll look and see if this was just an isolated incident. Is this just in this course? Is this just something new that popped up? Or I'll go look at a couple courses and is the same issue showing up in all these courses, right? Because I really want to know, if it's an isolated incident, I'm going to want to know why. I want to know what happened. Okay, why did they fall below in this particular case? I don't like to pry, but I invite them to tell me, what's going on. Maybe they've got a health issue, right? Maybe they've been in the hospital. Maybe they've had a family emergency. Maybe they've got a work commitment. They got a promotion, or maybe they got staffing issues and they've had to cover for folks, and they just don't have the time. Maybe something, is going on in their life I don't know about. Maybe they've had a death in the family, or they're going through a difficult marital period or something. Maybe they've been impacted by a natural disaster like Hurricane Helene we just had about a month ago. I personally experienced that. I was out of touch with the world for about a week there, and it was hard for me to get in touch. Where we were, we lost power, we lost internet, we lost cell coverage. We had no way to contact anyone for 3-4 days. And I had to finally was able to get a message out to someone to say, hey, please take over my classes, right? So something like that, then we get someone in there. So anyway, I want to know those things about my faculty member before I work with them. Now, how do I treat them all the same? I treat them all the same because I hold them all to the same standard, okay? We have faculty expectations. They're in your contracts, or you can see them on the faculty affairs page, what we used to call CETL, now it's faculty affairs. And those are the minimum expectations, and I hold everybody to those minimum expectations. And again, that's the minimum. We expect and hope that everyone will perform beyond that, and most folks do. But everyone has to get up to the minimum, or they just can't teach here. And it's nothing personal. It may be just that they can't do that. And if they can't, we have to let them go. And not because we don't like them, it's because it's not fair to our students, right? We want all of our students to have a good learning experience. And the only way we can do that is if everyone's at least meeting the faculty expectations. Excuse me. So after that, the process is similar to what Dr. Beach said. Excuse me. I send them an email. I tell them I'll be monitoring them their next course. I tell them how much I want them to succeed. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that. My goal is not to get rid of faculty. My goal is to help them be successful. That's what I want them to be. And I hope that's what they want too. So then at that point, every week, I go in and I review their course during the week, right after it ends. And then I send them an email and tell them how they're doing. Did you meet the expectations? Could they do better here? Could they do better there? And we go through that week after week, and I invite them to, try to have a dialogue if they want to do that. And then at the end of the 5 weeks or 6 weeks, if it's a graduate level class, I'll send them a summary. How'd they do? Did they get better? Are you now meeting expectations? Are you not meeting expectations? If they're not, I'll usually talk to Dr. DeLosa, see, should we try again? And a lot of that depends on, have they been mentored before and that sort of thing. Typically, we'll give them at least 2 chances. And because like I said, we really want them to succeed. I know, they wanted to be here, and we want them to be here, but they got to meet the faculty expectations. So that's how it goes. I send them the final report, and I make myself available. I say, look, this isn't the end. I'm here for you as long as you're here. As long as I'm here and you're here, you're all welcome to reach out to me anytime. And I tell them that as well, because I genuinely want them to succeed. It's easy, right at the beginning, you look at it and you go, oh, this is terrible. There must be something wrong. And as soon as I get to know them, I'm like, these are really nice people. I really want to help them. I want to help them do well. And I genuinely want to see them improve. So after the final report, I tell them, look, reach out to me anytime you need me. I may pop into your courses later just to see how you're doing. But otherwise, I'm just here for you. So that's my process. And hopefully here soon, you're going to have some time to, after everyone else had a chance to chat, to give us some feedback. Let us know what we can do better and how we can help you be better engaged and feel like you're part of the community. Thank you. And thanks, Dr. Beach.
You bet.
There's Dr. Quarles. You're up next, I believe.
Okay, well, my process is very similar to David's. Unfortunately, my coaching comes when there is just a little bit more coaching needed for us to make those standards and meet those standards. So when I enter the formula, that's normally where we're entering from. And like David said, I try to make sure that I'm understanding the background, I understand the history, I understand what's going on. But I'm really trying to coach to maintaining the standard that our students have come to expect and come to experience within our program, and to make sure that experience is consistent amongst all instructors. And so as that is my basis for what I'm looking for, I will make sure that the coaching is tailored to that and make sure that there is a shared understanding of what you have signed up to do and what we have requested of you, so that the student can have the best experience here. And most of the time, that coaching tends to end after that one, that one experience with us, or that one course that we are trying to work together to make sure that you're coming up to the standard. Sometimes that goes over to 2 courses, and we work with that accordingly. But for me, because most of my coaching has to deal with like the introductory courses to our program, our Management 330 and Business 340, those courses, I don't want to say the stakes are a little bit higher, but we have a higher tendency of students to either drop off or for students to not continue with those 2 courses. So we want to make sure that the standards we're maintaining are going to set that foundation for the student to carry over into the other courses as they progress. And so some of our contacts might be a little bit more in depth. They might be a little bit more, I don't want to say pushy, but a little bit more pushy, because I do need you to meet these standards. I need you to do them quickly. And so I just want to make sure that there is that shared understanding, that everybody's aware of what is being expected of them, and that that has been communicated to you in a way that is equitable, in a way that you understand, in a way that we can make sure that we can correct as we move forward. And so I just, again, want to echo David's sentiments that this really isn't a form of gotcha or a form of we're trying to get rid of people. This is a form of we're trying to make sure the students have that shared experience amongst our program. And it is a program of excellence, and our students are ranting and raving about what they receive here at UHEC.
Oh, good. Okay, and I think next would we come to Dr. Ogola.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope you can hear me. I'm so excited, first of all, to share my journey with the community of UAGC. I joined the faculty in 2023, and I think I'm one of the beneficiaries of this BABA program. And I've really, honestly, I can say it's been one of the most fulfilling experiences I've had in my career. Like many of us, when we joined this environment, we had concerns, and I had the similar concerns like, I'm joining a new group, will I be accepted? What's the possibility that I'll not be accepted? And I did taught in other universities, so I had previous experience teaching in other universities, but the feeling that this would be a unique experience was there. So I guess I was kind of right, because remembering from where I came from, I recall one of the universities that I taught, the first thing when I reported to work, I was given just the course outline, and I was given shown where the class is located. And that was pretty much it. You had to figure out everything by yourself to get your class and to start teaching. And this environment was different. Comparing to UAGC, I had a new experience. The BABA program, the BABA mentorship program, has not only welcomed us, but also shaped me personally to be a better faculty, and even to be more engaged in the community activities. And looking at that experience, I want to say that it's been a worthwhile experience for me. The environment has been very supportive from day one. The BABA program has created that unique environment that allows us to feel appreciated, to feel valued, and to feel part of a greater success team. There was a warm and inclusive onboarding process. This onboarding process immediately gave us a sense of belonging. You feel like you belong somewhere, you belong to a community that appreciates you, and you're just not another faculty member, but you're part of a vital team that will make this university a great success. So there was an ongoing mentorship program like Ron had gone through. And the first 3 courses, I had the chance to work with Ron personally, and it was one of the best experiences as well. Very clear, UAGC through mentorship program doesn't just on board and leave you there hanging to find everything by yourself, but they are there to walk with you, provide you that weekly check-ins. I really appreciated those weekly check-ins because it gave me that continuous support, sharing the best practices. I enjoy the tips that Ron was sharing with me every week on how to be a better faculty. And it was well structured. That means it provided me with valuable information and resources that helped me or set me up for success. There was a clear engagement expectations. Everything was set from the beginning. You knew this was the expectations right from the start. There were clear expectations how we engage with the students, and we were encouraged to connect more with the student as early as possible. So that means like the course is beginning on Tuesday. I had to reach out to every student on Tuesday so that at least we make sure that we touch base with them and they feel part of the organization, they feel part of the university, and they feel appreciated and that somebody is listening to their needs. So the mentorship and engagement program empowered us also with little tips on some of the tools that we were not aware of during the training. NFA tips, tools like the Signals. I remember I only knew about Signals through Ron when he sent that email that, hey, you can use Signal and Canvas Analytics, for example, to monitor students' participation. And that's when I realized that, oh, this is a great tool because I can actually use this to communicate to the student, find out from the students who are really behind or who need extra support. And through that, I was able to reach out to this student personally and get their issues addressed or even offer additional support. And in that way, I promoted their success at school. So there was a feedback and grading standard. I think this was also well captured in the BABA program. Timely feedback was always being provided to us, like you can see from Dr. Ron and his presentation, Neymar and David. They talked about the constant feedback, and this is very important. And we really take that feedback positively because it helps build us. And every time I get a feedback, I look at it like an opportunity to improve myself and also to improve the quality of life for that student who is going to enjoy my services. And so this is some of the things that I've really pointed out from the BABA program. UAGC as a community, I believe, instills a strong commitment to our academic integrity. And so there are other tools that I think somebody mentioned today about Turnitin, for example, that are meant to be used maybe to catch plagiarism, to help us guide students on proper use of maybe citation resources and upholding that integrity. Those are some of the things that we learned from the mentorship program, not from the actual onboarding training that came before this. So in summary, the BABA program to me is a program that is just not just to guide the teaching faculty, but also to provide that professional roadmap to support me as a profession and to support my personal growth within the community. And it's a testimony that UAGC, through the BABA program, really cares for its faculty.
Oh, thank you, Samson. Dr. Gibson.
Hi, thanks for having me. So my experience with the BABA, can you hear me? Okay. My experience with the onboarding process was, I would compare it to my student teaching experience about 20 years ago. It really gave me an opportunity like the simulation gave me an opportunity to see what it's going to be like actually in the classroom using Canvas. And I really appreciated that because I got, decent feedback from my mentor through that process. So then my first class, I think I was probably very detailed in my first class because I did not want to mess up with my actual students. And Ron definitely gave me the feedback that I needed in order to be effective for my students. My one challenge, I think, my first few classes, I would say, are the Turnitin program with grading, simply because I just didn't know what percent was going to. I obviously, if you have like a 95% comparison, that's not a good thing. But there's like a line, right? I was explained that some of the things that are turned in might catch, but they don't necessarily mean the student is plagiarizing. So that was a challenge for me. Also, the other thing that I really like about teaching for you guys is the constructive feedback, because you guys do send those emails to us reminding us that you do need to make sure that in your grade book, if a student hasn't turned in work, you just need to put an extension on there. You're not in trouble. The student's not in trouble, which goes along with that culture of care. So overall, my experience with the mentoring program has been great. And every time I email Ron, he's pretty responsive to anything that I have questions about. So I just really appreciate about being a part of this program.
Oh, good. Dr. Reed.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Beach, for having this wonderful opportunity to speak to people about my experiences here with BABA at UAGC. The training program made a really big difference for me, especially having an opportunity to learn Canvas, because Canvas was a new experience. So having a chance to see it in a demo environment to kind of replicate what will be done with the students made a tremendous difference for me. But all of the training, all of the feedback that we get, all of the reminders with the announcements makes a big difference as well. I know that I think about the mentoring that I get when I'm reaching out to Dr. Beach for a question, or sometimes just saying hello and just checking in, that I'm starting to add that as part of my practice with the students, where if they're saying, oh, I just celebrated an anniversary or a birthday, and so I'm sending like a little emoji with a birthday message to them. So I'm really just trying to personalize that experience so that they don't feel like they're just a class of a bunch of students, that I'm really trying to work to treat each of them individually by saying congratulations on your new job, or, welcoming the newest family member. I also started I was sharing pictures with Dr. Beach with just some of the things that were going on in my world. Well, I started sharing pictures in my introduction of some personal things that are going on with me, with my students. But I'm starting to see more of my students who are sharing their family pictures or some significant moment. But all of that gives me an opportunity to develop a community that I have through the mentoring, but also develop that same community within my classrooms with the students, because I do want them to feel as if we're one big community, and that the learning process is not just from me to one individual. It's really me to one individual, but collectively as a group, because we're all learning together. The same thing as the way the mentoring program is going, to where you may be interacting with each of us individually, but we're still all learning together, or what we need to do in terms of meeting the standards here at UAGC. So the mentoring has made a really great difference for me. I feel comfortable reaching out. I love being able to attend the first Fridays, even if I don't have a specific question. I do like to pop my head in just to have an opportunity to see new people or see the same people, but maybe someone might have something that they're experiencing that I may not have had a chance to experience at that point. So it's just really a great chance to check in, but it also enables us that opportunity to have that sense of belonging because we're attending these meetings and we're having a chance for them to get to know me a little bit better and for me to get to know them a little bit better in a more formal environment. So I try to take all of the practices from reminding with the announcements that I receive, just so that I don't forget to do something during the week. But I also put those additional announcements inside of my classroom to remind the students, such as you need to cite when you're working on your discussion post. You need to have an in-text citation. You need to make sure that you have references. So all of the information that's being shared with me, I'm sending those reminders out to the students before they start working on the assignments, so that I'm not taking points away from them because they didn't post a reference or they didn't do like their in-text citation. So I'm really just trying to use everything that I'm getting in the mentor program to use that actively with each class that I'm teaching. So I'm really grateful to have this because I feel as if I'm a better teacher because I have these really great people who are in front of me that I get to reach out to and send emails when I feel challenged with a situation that might be going on with maybe late assignments, and we're coming up to the classes almost over in a week, and just how to handle that so that I'm instilling the best sense of community, but also making sure that the student gets what they need so that they can be successful. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I thank you.
Well, that's, I want to emphasize with our social faculty that, they are the best of the best. And they, you go through a lot of screening, a lot of activities. So just to get into the BABA program, we know they're good. Our challenge is to give them support and the ongoing environment to help them be successful, not just because that's what makes our students successful. And that's what we're all in for. So let's kind of open up just for any questions or some recommendations. Like I said, this is the first run. Actually, my very first job assignment at the university 14 years ago was to onboard 100 new hires. And I will tell you that the program that Dr. DeLosa has put together is, I can't. There's no comparison between then and now. But our challenge is, what can we do now to make it even better? And she's laid the groundwork. What can we do to make it even better? So, any ideas especially from the social faculty who've been through the program? What can we do to make it even better? Yeah. Are we so good? There's no improvements. Okay. All right. I'll start out with just my take of what we can do. There are so many fantastic tools available to the students that they don't know about it. In other words, the Writing Center, phenomenal activities. I've had students in their capstone course, when I get them to the Writing Center, I didn't know I even had that available. Then you have the library services and activities. We have the faculty support toolkit. And so and we talked a little bit, Samson talked about the signals. It's a great tool. How to get that little more involved in the 3-course scenario, or do we need to add a 4th course and just attach more to the system action area? So there's a lot, we have a lot of good tools, but how do we make it to where at least you have a working knowledge that they're there, so you can show it and send the students that way? Okay. What do you guys think?
I think you kind of talked about it briefly, but having that 4th course possibly for the writing process would definitely be helpful for the students. I know that I spend a lot of time grading. I know we grade content, but I do spend a lot more time probably correcting APA formatting. And I think the students would probably get a better experience if they understood that writing process and how to make connections with different scholarly sources.
That's a good point. Yeah. How about anybody else?
I do like the way that we send out emails to our associate faculty that has the template and has the copy and paste this into your announcements. And so maybe just doing more of that, directing students to those resources and directing our faculty so that we don't have to go look for them. And if someone has already created a great announcement, we can just continue to share that information. I think that's very valuable, and it's showing that collaborative nature of the BAPA program.
No, good point. Good idea.
You know,
Anybody-
Dr. Beach, so Toby Atahu is a Gen 101 instructor, fairly new. He's only taught 4 courses, presented today earlier on how he is incorporating resources in his practice with his students. And so that may be a workshop that you all go and peek at when you have a chance, because he did share some of the strategies that he's using. And he's one of my faculty members, but he's only been doing this for 4 courses, and he's picked up some amazing strategies. And he noted that a lot of that was from his experience in NFE. So I think it would be nice to see what his takeaway was from that experience.
That's excellent.
It was at 3:00 today, and I'm sure it was recorded, so you may be able to catch the recording later.
I will definitely do that.
Yes, thank you.
You know, in the you're talking about the library and research and stuff. I had a project I had to do recently that involved going to the library and looking for some resources. And I'll tell you, I've been here for years, and the library is not quite as easy to use as you might think. So when I started working on that project, I started empathizing more with our students. I can see how they might get fairly frustrated if you do a search wrong. You're not searching the right database. You're going to get a bunch of articles. They're fine articles, but you know, you don't necessarily need to know what it's civil servant problems in India are if you're looking for some U.S. based stuff. So that's what comes up a lot, because all those databases have tons and tons of scholarly stuff in there. So I personally experienced some frustration doing that. I thought, I should do more to explain to students, don't give up. Here's some resources. There's some good videos in the library explain how to do that. And I should do a better job of explaining to students how to use the library appropriately. And then maybe they wouldn't just Google everything.
Good point.
Marissa put something in the chat, speaking to what David was talking about, that students can get help from a live librarian as well. That's a really good resource too. And I think it's worth mentioning out loud that we can include that as part of our resources that we're referring to students to.
Hi, it's Geneva. I would like to add, is it possible to maybe have a working template of a Word document with how to do in-text citations and properly cite references? Because I think if the students had that, instead of just saying refer to the APA manual, maybe if there is a template that we could use and standardize that we can use across, that we could share with the students, that at least I find that might be helpful for me, because of they're not citing properly. Something to consider, or maybe there is and I'm missing it.
Dr. Mindy is bringing out that there's a great tool in the library. I'm assuming you're referencing for the referencing portion of the APA, correct, Dr. Handy?
Yes, they have. There's actually a whole section on in-text citations. When I teach SSC 101, I refer students to that. There's also a use support toolkit that you can use to help direct students to different resources. And what I would say is there are so many resources that streamlining it and figuring out where and how to refer them is probably one of the tools. And I think what Toby mentioned in his session, so again, really take a minute to watch that. He mentioned that he bookmarks and has a Word document where he keeps segments of resources that he knows are tried and true that his students need time and time again. So
that's a good idea.
Well, no, we have 5 minutes left, everyone.
And Dr. Reed, there is an APA template, or there was. Anyone know if it's still there? I'm sure it's still there.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a paper. There's a paper template.
Yeah.
There's also some different examples of citations.
exactly.
So
Becky posted the link in the chat for the APA style guide.
but I like that idea about saving comments in Waypoint with links going through, and that's a good idea. Anything else? Boy, this time's gone by quick. All right. Basically, I just want to thank everybody. You know, it's an opportunity. I love showing what we've developed in the Barbara program. I love to get new ideas, and this is where I think the value of TLC comes in, where we have an opportunity across colleges to share ideas and just ways to improve the process. So thank you for taking the time to actually letting us know. That's valuable.
But I will go ahead and close us out if you guys are finished. I want to thank you all. Thank you so much to all of our presenters, and thank you to the audience for your participation in today's session. I'm going to go ahead and post a link in the chat to the survey. If you would like to complete a survey for the TLC presentations and conference awards and share your feedback on your conference experience. So just bear with me one moment while I pull that up. It wasn't in that copy. Sorry, everyone. I do want to make sure you get that link. And thank you so much for a great session.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.